Hiding Ancient History, a KUHNIAN analysis of the out-of-place artifact. An important aspect of the current crisis in ancient history is the phenomena of the out-of-place artifact, or UPART. This is a notion of alternative theorists who use it to describe an archaeological find that, because it challenges the prevailing timeline of academic-based history, is not recognized. The word place is the key. Alternative theorists say place suggests a nearly fixed and pre-existing framework. This is contrary to the ideal of an evidence-based, ever-evolving sequence with no predetermined expectations. Why is there a place at all, they would ask. Traditional theorists would suggest the place, or timeline, is the nearly indisputable product of a vast accumulation of data gathering and analysis over time. The centuries-old procession of worldwide archaeological findings situate in increasingly predictable clusters of time, place, and culture that solidifies, with each artifact, the validity of this timeline and its assumptions. The out-of-place artifact is simply the product of hoaxing, erroneous dating, misidentification, or unlikely interpretations. Alternative theorists, by contrast, highlight that the selective sampling approach of academia is responsible for the existence and maintenance of the timeline that engenders the UPART phenomena. The whole enterprise of traditional science has strayed, they say, from being evidence-driven. Failing to include outlying finds into a timeline, alternative theorists would maintain, is simply poor science. To quote Graham Hancock, "The house of history is built on foundations of sand, on a lie." This continued failure by academia has set the stage for what Thomas Kuhn would identify as the, quote, crisis phase of his cycle of revolutionary change. The crisis and resultant revolution are brought about by the collision of two rival paradigms. In our context, Kuhn might see the UPART issue as such. The traditionalist does not tackle the UPART issue objectively because he cannot, within the confines of the paradigm. Instead, he engages in paradigm maintenance. To explain, the UPART exposes an important weakness of the dominant paradigm: the need to rigidly adhere to a timeline that demonstrates consistent human progress, or evolution, across a number of domains. For a conventional theorist to acknowledge that an artifact belongs out of place is to abandon the timeline, a revolutionary act of abandoning a central assumption of evolutionary thought. To recognize, for example, that technology in advance of our own was involved in the production of even a single ancient artifact thousands of years before it would be deemed possible, is to invalidate the doctrine with a single act. Karl Popper would agree. Quote, "No number of sightings of white swans can prove the theory that all swans are white. The sighting of just one black one may disprove it." Evolutionist Richard Dawkins even agreed. Quote, "If a single well-verified mammal skull were to turn up in 500-million-year-old rocks, our whole modern theory of evolution would be utterly destroyed." A good example of this is the implications of the 12,000-year-old megalithic site at Göbekli Tepe. Because it demonstrated technological production and planning well in advance of what could be expected in its time, Göbekli Tepe should have single-handedly collapsed the timeline and compelled alternative explanations. It did not. Instead, in an act that Kuhn would see as paradigm maintenance, it compelled traditionalists, such as Klaus Schmidt and Ian Hodder, to re-examine the way they viewed human capabilities. Their admission was that they had, until now, vastly underestimated the capabilities of these hunter-gatherers. What we knew, they concluded, about their skills with flint tools and advanced organizational abilities must be rewritten. Because the alternative approach is not tasked with maintaining the neat flow of progress, it effortlessly handles phenomena that challenges what we know. Following Kuhn's line of thought in his Structure of Scientific Revolutions, he would suggest that the phenomena of the UPart will fall away with a change in paradigm. During revolutions, he would state, scientists see new and different things when looking with familiar instruments in places they have looked before. A byproduct of revolution, Kuhn would further predict, is that because there is incommensurability between the two paradigms, little will be transferred from the old science to the new paradigm. Everything will be seen fresh through the lens of the new science. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to our channel, Hiding Ancient History, and like. Thank you.